Yeah, I'm gonna make a quick note here. Excuse me. I've done several, just segments of some of the songs that I'd written, and I've done two right now. Just kind of, just get it on there in the segment that deal until I get them into having everything reorganized and placed and set my drums up again, um, and all my equipment and the wireless microphone and get everything set up the way it should be again, and do some get into my original music. So in any case, yeah. So I thought I'd do that, and there's a particular song that has kind of like a jungle type of rhythm. Um, it's called Hidden Escrow, and it progressively gets into a transition from a kind of a I don't know, I would say pretty close to a normal standard 2/4 count. Um, Yet a variant of syncopation at the same time. Yeah. So in any case, yeah. So yeah. Like I said, progresses into a kind of a slower tempo of a jungle rhythm, and progressively builds up a little bit through a transition from the jungle type of sound with my drums into a more if you want to call it modern, as far as like a notation and structure in a way. Um, that doesn't seem to be, obviously a cultural thing that would, you know, take back, what normal tribal or jungle would sound like. So, yeah, it's like it transitions and kind of gets into the civilization part about, the sound, and progressively gets into the thought about the content of the song, Hidden Escrow. And, some of the songs that I've written, at the time when I was writing some of them, it's kind of like a really kind of stressful, and I had a kind of like a deal about a mind frame the way I was thinking. So I've changed like some of the words in a way to be a more not so affected by what's going on. Anyway, yeah. So and I still need to do that and perfect some of it because in terminology. But in any case, yeah. So more of a broader range of audience. Uh, that way is the more consideration. Necessarily, beyond, the duration during going through the thing about it at time. But anyway, so like the hidden escrow is kind of like suggesting um, representation that hidden escrow is almost like the word also in biblical term of the word of God is hidden in our heart. Okay, and the thing about like a heart God is 78, and referencing certain, and it seemed to be like the only one like out of the entire deal. And and when I was like really like looking for some of the stuff in like the King James Version Bible that I really kind of focused on, particularly, and the more in the American Amplified that way, and a little bit about the Seventh Day Adventist for the thing about the SAT. Um, just really for Saturday being like the Seventh Day Adventist thing, and the SAT, something about military time and the highest possible score on the SAT entrance exam for like major universities, the highest possible score 2400, like think about it. And that's why it's kind of like and plus I'd already been there anyway. But anyway, yeah. So like the hidden escrow is kind of like a focus on, and ultimately got to somewhere the word hidden associated with the alphanumerics of like heart God and escrow and zip code, and factors that gets even the FBI miracle, and certain factors about like that. So anyway, kind of like the hidden escrow and combination as far as used in terminology sometimes in real estate, and I hadn't seen it hurt in quite some time. But the thing about hidden escrow seems to be almost in biblical reference with, I mean, like that's the only one I could find. It wasn't even in concordance, like the word of God is hidden in our heart. And sometimes inadvertently in real estate, the word hidden is involved with escrow in that way. Sometimes inadvertently, I haven't really seen it like so direct that it looks like a perfect match with like biblical reference. I mean, not really at all, but truthfully, yeah, something about that, yeah, and what it is to like intellectual. I mean, if it's designated as a third party or a third person, proper English numerical composition, or an easement that way, um, sometimes associated with like earnest. Um, Not always, but I study alphanumerics and linguistics that way, about practical application and integration and analytical, and like I say, alphanumerics and linguistics and all that stuff. So anyway, so I was kind of like, looking biblically for, based upon, an experience. But anyway, the hidden Escrow kind of got to the deal about a lot was going on when I was writing it. So, like I say, I've kind of like updated and changed some of the words, but yeah. But anyway, yeah. So it gets into a sound that sounds like really good. And there's a particular band in the '80s that I was thinking of with a particular rhythm that you know suggested a little bit of persuasion in my thought about a structure of a song from a rock band in the '80s. But anyway, yeah. So the hidden Escrow progresses into what seemed to be from like escrow and what would be terminology to like a biblical reference, and into what seemed to be the deal about the deal of somewhere in between an IRA and the ERISA statute, which really was my focus at the time, but was not really hadn't been included in when I was writing the song. Okay. But I mean, it's like it's all there. It's like really, really. It's a person told me one time, "Hey man, you already know." And it's like all the available information is kind of like I already have it all, but I mean the connectivity. I mean not in any kind of way. I mean it's just like, and when I was realizing, hey, I really do, So I mean it's like really opening up to a lot of things about like information I already knew and had. It was kind of like really kind of surprised, being kind of naive about something about that. Yeah. So yeah. So like I realized that and kind of focused in that way when I studied alphanumerics and linguistics. So anyway, like the hidden Escrow, like it kind of progresses into what would be maybe something about the national deficit declining as an easement of like international law having fair use and in the way of an easement and the structure and what's involved yeah, that way. So yeah, so in any case, yeah, so what tariff is to import and exporting, or what the thought is of protecting what would be maybe an issue, piracy of, it's really not supposed to be anything about that. But the thing with this is that something about the tariff of protecting entering and exiting the protected waters around the United States. I mean, how true? I mean, I haven't really seen or heard anything really of piracy. I mean, truthfully, only normally in movies dating back, to the old ships. But I mean, really, I mean, I haven't seen like anything. Plus, I really don't even watch TV like hardly ever anymore. I mean, YouTube's predominantly it, and the internet, and like online communications that way. That way, I can really focus and not have a multitude of stuff that I'd like to. I'd like to see maybe just a designated network with just sports channels and audio production and like live concerts and music videos that would reflect a channel, not necessarily like a social media kind of like YouTube in a way. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, I don't know if I'd really call it social media, but in effective, it ultimately gets to some interchangeability that way. But anyway, yeah. So likewise, the hidden Escrow, I mean, it's like progressively gets into the structure, into politics, and kind of like the freedom and cause, not really the cause and effect. I don't want to place it as a jurisdictional boundary and limitation that way of in that sense of matter. But the thing about the escrow and like import and exporting, or what tariff only means to what might be only be seen as in movies involving like maritime law of piracy. I mean, it seemed to be something in the way of more of the thought of breach maybe. Or what infringement might only mean to royalties and infringement, breaching the deal about the royalties in that way. Not, I mean, it's not really sometimes even seen as piracy, but something that would be like an idea of like leverage that way. And the song Hidden Escrow kind of focuses like on that in a way. Yeah, so anyway, like I want to get on that and maybe do a little bit of some of that in a segment. Yeah, maybe, I'm probably going to do maybe all 13 of them, but anyway, like there's like, I kind of like put a, real big hold on it for a while. So anyway, yeah, so there it is. I have things to do and I'm going to maybe work on it and think about it maybe a little later. Okay, talk to you later.